Hello and welcome to another episode of The Closing Track, the official podcast of Another Ascending Lark, where music and the Christian worldview collide. And guys, we've got some really, really exciting news. We hit, this week, 1,000 all-time plays since the show began barely 3 months ago.
Whoop, whoop.
I mean, I saw the number and I was blown away because I didn't think initially that we would get close to that number anytime soon, much less in 3 months. So I am definitely very ecstatic because that's a milestone that, while it may not be, like the best milestone ever, it is still a milestone, and we crossed it a lot quicker than I thought. So right off the bat, thank you if you're listening. Thank you if you have listened. Thank you if you have told friends to listen. Thank you if you have played it for your coworkers. I don't think anyone's actually done this, but just in case you have, thank you. We really do appreciate it. We're starting the show off just very humbled at the range of success that we've had so far. The show has been going so much better than I initially expected it to, and y'all have given some great feedback and have made this totally worth doing. So thank you for all of your support. It's been awesome. Oh, my name is Austin. I am the host of this here show. I have nothing to say for this spot.
And I'm Brett, the other guy here, and I guess the only thing I can know to say is my beard is better than Austin's.
You missed it last week. We got all of the episode 7 trailer banter out of the way, and you weren't there for it.
Dang it!
That was like the first thing right off the bat was I entered the show with where music and the Christian worldview collide, and holy crap, I want that lightsaber.
Yeah, but I am kind of curious to see how they actually will use the lightsaber. It can't be offensive at all. It has to be completely defensive.
Yeah, it's there's just been so much. I've never seen a teaser trailer get so much in-depth scrutiny for being like an 80-second teaser trailer that introduced nothing of significance.
I mean, I can kind of understand because it is Star Wars and we have been waiting for this for a while. And there's a lot of people like me who have an issue with the whole expanded universe sort of canon, whether or not it's going to truly unfold in this movie. But at the same time, I'm like, really, there's no plot detail at all.
No,
that was revealed, and people are like, this is what we can tell from this, blah, blah. I'm like, all you can tell from this is that the troopers look awesome.
Yes.
There's a strange new type of lightsaber, and obviously the Sith are back, because that was clearly a Sith Lord. And that apparently that guy in the desert still has not found the droids he's looking for.
That, when I first saw that, I just laughed. I was just like, that's one way to start a trailer off.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing I definitely do appreciate is it definitely does look and feel like Star Wars.
Yes, it does.
They definitely retained that, which I think a lot of that might be due to J.J. Abrams being a part of it.
Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams isn't going to screw it up. But no, you definitely missed it last week. It wasn't until Aaron and I sat down and started to record, I was just like, oh crap, I'm going to talk about Star Wars, and the residential Star Wars nerd isn't here to talk about it.
Of course. But I don't care if I'm in the hospital for 6 months, starting immediately when the movie comes out. You will wait that long until I come back to discuss it.
I promise that we will not discuss episode 7 whenever it comes out until you are present and you were able to give your expert insight.
Thank you.
If you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook at Another Ascending Lark. You can follow us on Twitter at AALblog. You can send us an email at anotheraascendinglark@gmail.com. And of course, you can visit anotheraascendinglark.com, where we have all of the notes and articles that we use in each show posted up. So you can listen to the show online. You can listen to the show on our Podbean host. You can listen to it in iTunes. We try to give you a couple different ways for you to listen to this, especially because you Android users, man, y'all are so hard to get podcasts to your phone. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, but at the same time, given what one of our stories is this week, I'm kind of happy.
Go for it. I know you've been waiting for this. Just go for it.
Okay. For all of you fellow Apple haters, this is the exact controversy you have been waiting for.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I say this in jest. I'm not really that big of an Apple hater. Just little parenthetical here. But plaintiffs are seeking about $350 million in damages from Apple because they have been accused of purposely deleting music users have purchased from rival digital retailers by displaying an error message and requesting the user restore to factory settings.
See, I read this, and there were two things about this that bothered me. Is first of all, oh my gosh, some music got deleted off your iPod. Therefore, $350 million. I mean, that seems a little bit out of proportion.
I don't know. I mean, if it's one of those things where it's like, they bought the album, they put it on, and then the CD is like broken or something, then that music is now lost. But also you have to think about how many people were affected by this, because I don't think it's like each individual person is trying to get 350.
Well, no, but if it's a settlement lawsuit, I mean, people will have access to that settlement if they were affected by it. The Wall Street Journal reports that Apple was accused of purposefully deleting music users had purchased from rival digital retailers by displaying an error message and requesting that users restore to factory settings. I mean, this doesn't look good for Apple, and I'm not surprised that this lawsuit is happening, but it's worth noting that this is on two relatively dead fronts. This is on the iPad, and this is on outdated DMR management on digital music. So as far as like if you're afraid that Apple is going to take music off your iPhones, for whatever reason, like this was for the iPod, and I mean the iPod is kind of dead, like just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been outsourced to phones now. So this is a lawsuit really over a dead issue, but what's scary about it over a dead issue is that the late Steve Jobs and his emails and some of his phone calls are being brought as evidence for against Apple. So to have your late CEO testify from the grave against you.
Yeah. It's also a little creepy if you think about it.
It really is. I read that and I was like, that's got to be awkward. Like, that's got to be really, really awkward.
Because, I mean, it's not like you can be like, oh, well, here's what I really meant. Here's the context of that. No, all you know is those little sound clips and emails.
Yeah, that's got to be awkward for Apple. Who knows? Who knows what's going to come of this? I mean, I'm sure we'll follow it. But, yeah, it's if you like to see Apple crash and burn, this probably isn't going to make Apple crash and burn. But still. Vinyl sales are going up. And I'll tell you what, it makes me really, really happy. I know I've said that before, but it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing to see vinyl sales go up. In the UK, vinyl sales crossed 1 million sales barrier for the first time in 20 years.
That is pretty dang impressive.
Try telling me that vinyl is dead and just a fad when it's broken a 20-year-old sale record. I mean, that's not something a fad can do often, especially not over the course of 5 years, because that's not this has been a rising figure for the past 5 years, and this year they've done 1.2 million sales in the single year, and Christmas isn't even over yet.
Yeah.
Like the post-Christmas season isn't even here yet, so that number is going to go up even more.
I'm pretty sure we can thank the hipsters for that.
Well, here's the thing, is that, yes, I'm sure that we have to give credit to the hipster community for reviving this. But I think also there's this trend going on within, like, just music in general where, like, a backlash to digital music, and that people are wanting, like, something tangible with their music, like something they can hold, like a vinyl, and have something, like, of a higher piece of quality. And so I think that the desire for something tangible with the music is why vinyl in particular is making a comeback, because it's like the most tangible form of music ever. I mean, you got this giant freaking disc of music. Like, you didn't get more tangible than that.
And I have to admit, I was, for a time, kind of skeptical about the whole, vinyl is a lot better sound quality than CDs and everything else. I'm like, oh, whatever, it can't be that much. But then I listened to Abbey Road, and I'm like, I have never heard this part of the music before. I didn't even know that was in there.
Yeah, and last night, so yesterday I went over to my parents' house and was helping them get Christmas stuff out of the attic, and I found my dad's vinyl collection up there. My dad's away on a mission trip in Haiti, and so I, with my mom's permission, of course, took it down and took them to the apartment, and went through them and played them. There's Pink Floyd in there, there's Rush in there, Boston, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and a 5-disc set. I mean,
wait, do you have Dark Side of the Moon?
It's not Dark Side of the Moon.
Dang it.
No, it's not Dark Side of the Moon. A Momentary Lapse of Reason. But but it's still like, I mean, I put it on last night, and oh my gosh, like it's even though they're a little bit warped, some of them are a little bit more warped than others. It's still, I was just so excited. So yeah, if you are doubting the rise of vinyl, the United Kingdom disagrees with you because they've got a number that you just can't explain away. So yeah. And then as far as other numbers that just can't be explained away.
Austin, do you remember Gangnam Style?
I wanted to DJ this song at the camp that must not be named, but that one line, I was like,
Oh, the part in the chorus, like, eh, yeah.
yeah. Because I was like, dang it, I want to DJ this song, but I can't. Because, yeah.
You could have been like, when he goes, eh, then like, sort of been, wicked lady.
No, I could have. In hindsight, I probably could have, but oh well. Anyway.
But anyways, a lot of times when people say something about breaking the internet, it's an exaggeration. But Psy, with his music video for Gangnam Style, has at least broken part of it. His video has now been viewed well over 2.15 billion times, and it busted YouTube's video counter.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, for all the stuff that's been in the news as of late about the Kardashians trying to break the internet, air quote, Psy, who wasn't even trying to, did.
And this is something that he did years ago.
And this was something that he did. What? This song came out in what? 2012?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was 2012 this song came out. And so, like, maybe 2.5 years later, it's broken YouTube.
And then a quote from the company says, "We never thought a video would be watched to numbers greater than a 32-bit integer, which is about 2,147,483,647 views." But that was before he met Psy.
And then our lives changed forever.
Yes, and then they said it's been watched so many times they're forced to upgrade their system to a 64-bit integer.
This number,
yeah,
I don't even know how to read it.
I will read it. This means that the next video to break YouTube will have to be viewed more than 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808 times.
Would you like to read that again?
Yes.
No, just kidding. That's unbelievable. Like, it's just so ridiculous.
I don't think I have in any tangible way referred to a quintillion of anything.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the number.
Yeah,
that's the number there. And I'm sure the people at YouTube were just like, this number is ridiculous. Like,
that really is a ridiculous number, but I mean, YouTube definitely is here to stay, and who knows, in 20 or so years, maybe Gangnam Style will hit over 9. It's over 9 quintillion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll actually hit that someday. Oh my gosh, that would be... We live in a fallen world if that happens.
Hey, that wasn't that bad of a song.
No, it wasn't. I'm not saying it was, but I mean, if of all the things to have that high of a counter, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I know you're dying to... but before we get to a review, I know you're dying to try what's in your glass right now.
Yes.
So, well, we covered those pretty quickly. Go ahead, do the live taste test because you've wanted to do this for some time, so might as well do it now.
One of the big giants of Belgian style beers is Chimay, brewed in Chimay, Belgium, in a Trappist monastery, with ingredients and water specific to this monastery. Like, I mean, the well water that's there, only the monastery can use, which I think is pretty cool. And probably their top tier product, Chimay Grand Reserve. Yes, something I've been looking forward to try for a while, and it is now in my glass, and I have not tried it yet. And I'm about to right now and explain to you how it tastes.
Go for it.
Okay.
Just because we can. Because we can. Go for
aroma, very typical Belgian style aroma. Definitely some fruity notes in there. Definitely a strong aroma. Ooh.
Beer tasting on the closing track. I mean,
yep.
We make it a practice, or at least a common thing, to have a beer during the show just because we can. But We're definitely breaking some new ground with a live taste testing.
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, this is definitely good. I mean, you have that typical Belgian note in there, but it's, I don't know, the only way I can explain it, it's just a bit more of a complex Belgian style taste than I'm used to. Definitely very good. It's a bit drier than most beers usually are. Some really good fruity, and I think I'm tasting a little bit of piney notes in there as well.
I wouldn't know.
And now Austin will have a sip.
I guess I'll have a sip of it real quick. Smells definitely good. Oh wow, that's got a really colorful flavor to it.
Definitely one of the more complex beers I've ever had.
Yeah, it's definitely a very complicated flavor profile. If you have no idea what we're talking about, don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. We just do what we want.
So yeah, definitely, this is definitely a beer I would buy again. I'm definitely glad for the purchase.
Cool, good.
And I'm drinking it out of my Reformed Pubcast glass.
Shout out. Woot woot.
Yep.
All right, let's get into some reviews real quick. Brett, what did you listen to over the course of the year? I was going to say this week, but you didn't, so.
No, I did this week.
Oh, you did this one this
Yeah.
week? Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought this was one that you had been listening to all year. My bad.
Nah, I had been wanting to review Soundgarden's album for this episode, but I saw that it was 3 discs long. So I'm like, there's no way I can sum up that in a podcast.
And especially hard to sum up something like that when it's a collection of like rare tracks and
Yeah.
B-sides and things like that. If it were a concept album, that'd be one thing because you could review the concept of it and how it's executed. But if it's just a giant like dump of random tracks, then yeah. But anyway,
So instead, I decided to do a rewind to Rise Against the Black Market. Excuse me, it was released earlier sometime in the summer.
yeah,
Can't remember exactly
June,
when.
I believe.
But anyways, it starts off with The Great Die Off, which it was a decent opener. I mean, it was definitely a good, solid song, had a nice beat to it, but really, and I think this next song would probably serve as a better opening. I Don't Want to Be Here Anymore.
That sounds like a meme. I don't want to be on this planet anymore.
Thank you. I will now picture the professor from Futurama singing the song from now on. That would be an interesting music video. But anyways, it's definitely got a good, powerful riff. It starts off nice and slow and then just brings it. The vocals in it, very good, semi-repetitive, but still a very good, solid song, and I think it would have served better as an opener. The next track, Tragedy Plus Time, I think is probably the best song on this album. It's a bit of a slower pace than I Don't Want to Be Here Anymore, but still kind of hard and edgy, but then the vocals in it are very clean, very melodic, and it is just a very, very pleasant song to listen to just because the Black Market, the title track, it kind of turns back the quality a little bit from Tragedy Plus Time, but still a good song, still a bit more mellow than some of the other tracks. And after that, I mean, it kind of falls off. I mean, this is a very opener heavy album. Like, not to say like nothing else really was horrible, but it just
didn't carry the momentum through.
I think that the mixing probably could have been done better to where some of the more powerful tracks were shuffled better into the album. And the second to last track, People Live Here, it started off kind of promising. It's a ballad, but I mean, the lyrics get repetitive really quick, the riffs get repetitive really quick, and I mean, it was just kind of a disappointment once you get to the end of the album, to the song. And then Bridges, that was a good closer, but still, it didn't really...
You have to wade through a lot to get to it.
Yeah, you have to wade through a lot to get to it, and it's not really sort of worth the wait. It's still a good song, but if I'm going to wait for this song, I mean, I'd rather it be something like Tragedy Plus Time.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know even that Rise Against had put out an album this year, although I did play the one Rise Against song that I know very well on Guitar Hero 3 with my brother during Thanksgiving.
Let me guess, Satellite?
No. Prayer of the Refugee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's one of mine and the intern of the camp that must not be named, like, favorite Guitar Hero tracks. And so I didn't even know that they had an album come out this year. But what would you pin it? What would you put on it?
I'd probably say maybe 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah, I mean, there were good songs on here, but generally it screamed of being okay.
Okay. I mean, that sounds about right. Definitely do not count that among album of the year material.
Nah. Perhaps song of the year, but
What?
and that might be stretching it a little bit too. But so they were,
Yeah.
yeah, they were great songs though.
Okay. I was like, song of the year, like in light of like Anubis Gate.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I will be reviewing Mastodon's Once More Around the Sun, which I've been saving for a week where I'm not able to necessarily listen to much, and this was that week. So Mastodon is definitely one of my favorite metal bands. Their style and approach to it has definitely made an impact on me musically. And I just love their stuff. Their stuff is outstanding. They're one of the most critically acclaimed metal bands of our day for a good reason. The hype that's attached to them is not unwarranted. It is definitely very much justified. They've been going in a bit of a new direction since post Crack the Sky material. They had the Hunter come out a couple years ago, and the Hunter was a departure from the super esoteric concept albums that they had been doing their whole career up to that point. They did an album on Moby Dick and Leviathan. They did an album with Rasputin and Stephen Hawking and Crack the Sky. I mean, these guys, like, they're just so weird, but they're not afraid to be weird.
Yeah, and they're pretty dang smart.
Yeah, they write some incredibly technical, incredibly proficient music, even though they're never mind. So this album continues the Hunter vibe that was going, in that it's a very radio cut primed album, and that there's no concept here. It's just single individual songs, and the majority of these songs are primed for radio, which if you've listened to the show or read any of our reviews, we tend to count that against a band, only because whenever a band goes for something like a radio cut, it tends to be one of the more mediocre and bland songs on an album. That's not a problem here with Mastodon's album. That all of the songs here that would fit well with radio would be excellent radio cuts. The Mother Lode, High Road, Chimes at Midnight. There's a lot of songs on here that if they were to go into radio rotation would do outstandingly well, because they're outstanding songs. Opening track, Tread Lightly, is probably my favorite song on the album. It's got a much more simple structure and vibe compared to previous Mastodon openers, but it's got a great solo. It's got a real nice nerdy bridge in the middle where there's the typical Mastodon nerdery. The Mother Lode follows that, and that song got into some trouble on the internets, because the internets collectively decided that Mastodon was misogynistic, because in the music video for the Mother Lode they had a bunch of twerkers, and the Mastodon can now be acclaimed as the first metal band ever to have twerking in a music video.
I'm not sure if that's a really good thing to be known for.
I don't think so either, but people got upset by it, and my first response to that was, really? Like,
But why?
well, yeah, to Mastodon was why, but then secondly to the internet, I'm just like, you're just now getting upset about this? You're just now getting upset that a metal band does something that might be interpreted as slightly misogynistic? I mean, where have you been?
Yeah, seriously.
And so it's a great song. It's got an outstanding chorus, real solid guitar solo. The soloing on this album is outstanding. Even though the song structures themselves might be quite a bit more familiar than their other stuff, the soloing is still outstanding, and the guitars are still just as crunchy and deep. And High Road, which is a Grammy-nominated song for a Metal Song of the Year, definitely starts off with a nice, real deep, open, like sinister chugga-chugging that's very familiar to Leviathan and Remission era Mastodon. Once More Around the Sun is the only song on the album that has a proggy time signature. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely got an unusual time signature. The rest is a pretty straightforward thing. The album itself listens through very well, but the only moment on the album where it kind of really gets where it drags is the nearly 8-minute long closer, Diamond in the Witch House, which has the length of several Mastodon songs, but lacks the diversity, the multi-movements. It's a really repetitive closer, and it's not a bad closer per se, but it's when I saw the length of it, I thought it was going to be, I guess, better than what it was. I totally lost my train of thought there. So is this my favorite Mastodon album? No. Is this a bad album? depending on where you fall on the Mastodon spectrum, will definitely tell how you respond to it. I personally wish they would go back to the crazy concept album Mastodon, but I know that Sanders and Brent Hines have exhausted their mental capacities for the moment to write another concept album. And so I hope that this isn't the future permanent direction for Mastodon. But here's the thing. If this is what they want to do, as long as they do it well, that's okay. And this album, they definitely do it well. The mixing is solid. The production is solid. The writing is solid. The only real moment on the album where the songwriting fails is near the end of Aunt Lisa, where I believe it's the Coat Hangers join or guest star on the album at the very end in a very awkward and kind of random place. There's some gang chanting of "Hey, ho, let's beeping go," and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" It was so bad and cheesy. But other than that, the songwriting is just as solid, even if it's a lot more stripped down and simplified. So if you're a Mastodon fan, you probably have already listened to this album 1,000 million times. I know I have. It was the album in my CD player in my car for about 2.5 months solid. It's a solid album. I mean, it really is. It's just very different from Mastodon, and it might be the beginning of the new era of Mastodon, or it just might be another entry in a temporary thing. But either way, they do it well, which I think is ultimately what matters, is that whatever they do, that they do it well. It's not as complicated as their earlier stuff, but then again, it doesn't necessarily have to be. So if I were to pin this, I would pin this at an 8. Yeah, I just pinned this at an 8. It's a solid metal album, very listenable, very enjoyable. But if you're part of the camp that thinks that Mastodon needs to go back to doing this stuff and that this is a sign of selling out, I don't think it's fair to say that Mastodon is sold out by releasing this album, because the quality is still here. The musicianship is still here. It's just taking a bit of a different form, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. So I would put Mastodon's Once More Around the Sun at an 8. Brett, what are the only 2 albums that I felt worth mentioning coming out for next week?
I mean, they definitely are really worth mentioning. Angels and Airwaves has The Dreamwalker coming out, which, for those of you Blink-182 fans, Angels and Airwaves originally came when Blink-182 broke up, and Tom DeLonge made his own project, which wound up being Angels and Airwaves. And The Smashing Pumpkins also has Moments to an Elegy coming out.
Which I've never necessarily been a big Smashing Pumpkins fan. I haven't been like an anti-fan per se, but I've not been like uber crazy about the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah,
so
really the only song, I can't remember what, I think it's The Beginning is the End is the Beginning, that they did for the Watchmen trailer. That's really the only song that was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know they had a song for Guitar Hero 4. Yeah, 4. But I mean, other than that, I'm a casual Smashing Pumpkins fan, I guess. I will say that Billy Corgan and his thoughts on why Christians need to make better music.
God would appreciate better music.
I don't think that there's anything to disagree with about that, but I'm not going to take either of those. If you want to take one of them, go for it.
Yeah, I'll probably take one of them.
Okay. We are at the end of the year as far as the new release cycle goes. I mean, really, after next week, there's not anything new coming out that's worth mentioning, and so I know I'm not covering anything new as far as new releases go. I still have several albums from earlier in the year when we were on hiatus that I need to cover. And so if there's something that we have missed and that you would like for us to cover before the end of the year, you need to tell us, like, yesterday. Like, as soon as you possibly can, because we're going to be going and ironing out the top 10 and getting all of our last-minute thoughts together. And so if there's something that we need to listen to, tell us as soon as you can, and then give us a reason why we should listen to it. Don't tell us that we need to listen to Taylor Swift's 1989 just because it's Taylor Swift. We will tell you no.
I definitely think the people want you to listen to Bangers by Miley Cyrus, though.
No. Chigao. No. Definitely not happening. So yeah, if there's something that you want us to cover, just get it to us and we will look at doing it. Okay, so I'm sure most of you probably have heard by now that the Grammy nominations have been announced. And because we cover these type of things, we kind of want to cover them because there are some really interesting selections for some awards this year. We're just going to talk about some of the major nominees and some other nominees and talk about some other things. And we're going to discuss why, like, the Grammys are important. Like, regardless if you love them or hate them, and I fall more in the hate category than the love category, they are important. And as Christians, we need to acknowledge that whether we like it or not, the Grammys are a significant cultural force when it comes to music, and so we need to be informed about what's going on there, so that way when we can share the gospel accordingly, basically. So I guess let's get started. So category number one. Pulling up my PDF here. We have record of the year, which just because I'm always like confused every single year about the difference between record of the year and song of the year. Here's the difference, okay? The record of the year category recognizes an artist's performance as well as the overall contributions of the producers, recording engineers, and or mixers, if other than the artist. Okay, so the record of the year is like the whole package. It's the whole, everybody that was involved in making the song and mixing it and producing it and all that jazz. The song of the year category. So song of the year is just looking at the songwriter, just looking at whoever wrote the song and not taking into effect how well it was produced, not taking into account how well it was recorded, and things like that. If you're confused, it's okay, because it's the Grammys. So Brett, category one, what is up this year for record of the year?
Fancy by freaking Iggy Azalea. Chandelier by Sia. Stay With Me Dark Child version by Sam Smith. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. And All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor.
I'm all about that bass,
Don't break copyright. The last thing we need is for Meghan Trainor to sue us.
Yeah, we would both be screwed if that happened.
Yeah, especially with such a terrible song.
I don't think it was all that bad of a song. Is it annoying? Yes, I'll totally agree that it's annoying. But as far as a pop song, it's pretty well done.
Okay, it goes through cliches. The chorus is literally the same.
But when have pop songs ever been like anti-cliche? I mean,
fair enough, but I mean, there are pop songs out there, good pop songs that use little if no cliches.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying there isn't, but
although definitely the worst on here is Fancy.
Yeah, I read that and I was. I mean, even Shake It Off. I mean, as much as we're not Taylor Swift fans, I mean, it was a good song. It was
decent. It was catchy, but probably. I don't think I've heard Chandelier, but Stay With Me is actually a good song.
Yeah, Stay With Me. Yeah, Sam Smith was pretty good. So
out of those, I'd probably want Stay With Me to win.
Yeah, I would definitely pick Stay With Me to win on that too. What about album of the year? Because I'm not gonna lie, I looked at this list and like I wanted to just rend my clothes.
Yeah, I was just like, what the crap? But it's Morning Phase by Beck, Beyonce by Beyonce, X by Ed Sheeran.
It's pronounced Multiply. I'm sorry, it's pronounced Multiply by Ed Sheeran.
That's stupid.
Yeah, but...
Okay, Multiply by Ed Sheeran, In the Lonely Hour by Sam Smith, and Girl by Pharrell Williams. Which, okay, there's only one album on here that actually has anything that took any amount of creativity to title.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, every artist has at least one self-titled album. I'm really surprised that Beyonce's hadn't come yet.
Self-titled albums aren't bad in themselves. I mean, Theocracy's self-titled album was phenomenal.
Yeah, but I mean, I can sort of glance over that, but calling an album Girl...
Well, I mean, it's Pharrell Williams. What do you expect? What do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this list, and even on the internet, there was a general just sort of head scratching as to the album of the year awards. They were like, really? Like, this is what y'all chose? Like, this is easily the most lackluster list I've ever seen since I began paying attention to the Grammys 4 or 5 years ago. Like, this list just sucks. Like, not that Ed Sheeran's album or Sam Smith's album were bad. I haven't listened to the whole of either album, but I've heard songs off it. And there has some good songs on that album, but even then, I'm just like, what? Really? It's just frustrating. Category 3, Song of the Year. Now remember, Song of the Year is about the songwriter, not the recording, the production, the mixing, all that stuff. The Song of the Year is not all about that bass or treble, or I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. It's just about the song, which All About That Bass did get nominated for a Song of the Year.
Literally every single song that was on Record of the Year was nominated, except Fancy was replaced with Take Me to Church by Andrew Hosier.
Yeah, which, I mean, heard snippets of the song. I haven't heard actually the whole thing, but even then, I'm just like, what? Like this list, I guess, could be worse, but it's just been really a lousy year for pop.
Yeah.
It's just been really kind of a lackluster year for mainstream pop. There hasn't been really anything outstanding or really anything really incredible. The best new artist category 4, there is one in here that I'm super ecstatic about. Best new artist, Iggy Azalea, boo. No. Number 2, Bastille, which I am super excited to see them on there. That's an excellent choice.
Though I'm kind of confused. I'm pretty sure they've been around for a while.
No, we were playing their debut album singles on FM90 this semester when I was on there. So, yeah, I played a lot of their stuff on FM90. Their debut album came out earlier, I think in February.
Okay, maybe that's why I have the feeling that they've been around for a while.
Yeah, but no, solid band, really good sound. Great band. Brandy Clark, I don't know her. Haim? I don't know how to pronounce that one. English major, help me out.
I'd probably say Haim.
Yeah. I'll defer to the English.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is either. And then Sam Smith, which isn't a bad choice either. In the Lonely Hour. Up until Taylor Swift's album had come out, In the Lonely Hour was the highest selling album of the year. And then, of course, Taylor Swift came on the scene and, screwed it up. Or, I don't know. Category 5, Best Pop Solo Performance. John Legend's All of Me live. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Chandelier, again. Stay With Me, Dark Child version by Sam Smith. Shake It Off, Taylor Swift. And then the live version of Happy. I mean, we have pretty much similar tastes, and so we both look at that list and we're just like, John Legend, yes. John Legend's live version of All of Me, outstanding. But everything else, okay. Did my parents tell you about the church here in the Panhandle that used All of Me in a worship service once?
No.
It was horrifying.
Although I did hear once at a church camp, not the church camp that should never be named, but a different church camp when I was younger, about a guy who knew a preacher who wanted to see if the people in his congregation were actually paying attention to the worship music. And so he had the worship band play The Wind Beneath My Wings, and everyone was still hand-raising, eyes closed, dancing around, jumping up and down to The Wind Beneath My Wings.
That's embarrassing.
Yes, it is.
That's gotta be awkward. That's really awkward. Category 6, the best pop duo group performance. Brett, I'll let you read those off.
Fancy by Iggy Azalea featuring Charlie XCX.
You sound so excited about that.
Yeah. A Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay.
That was a good song.
Yeah.
That was the only standout song off of Ghost Stories.
And then Say Something by Great Big World with Christina Aguilera, which I really like the Tobuscus version of it, saying, I wrote this song just to depress you.
That's awesome.
Which I'm like, that's very true, because everyone just listened to the song on repeat, crying for like 3 months. But Say Something, okay, that's a good song. Bang Bang by Jessie J, Ariana Grande, and Nicki Minaj, which for a song having Nicki Minaj in it, it's actually not that bad.
I think I've heard a part of it. I'm not going to say for sure if I have or not, though.
I mean, it's definitely not that bad. And then Dark Horse.
What is this doing on here?
I don't know. I mean, it's just such a weird song, which I'm pretty sure ripped off of another song, but we'll deal with that.
Well, and here's the thing is that she performed that song at the Grammys live last year.
Wait, really? Huh.
Yeah, she did a freaking pole dance on it, and everybody got super offended and awkward by it.
And the music video is just so weird. Have you seen it?
No, I don't want to see it.
Like, basically, she's like Queen of the Nile decked out during this, and then randomly when Juicy J is doing his rap, he comes out dressed normally with a gold grill on, and he just looks really gross and creepy, and then the other Egyptian people are dancing around sort of to this rap, and it's like, what the heck is going on?
Does not compute. Best pop album category 8. We're going to skip number 7.
Yeah.
Coldplay's Ghost Stories. which I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the best pop album of the year, but it's not a bad choice. I'm going to skip the second one and save that for last. Ariana Grande's My Everything. Katy Perry's Prism, which, okay, that did come out during this release cycle. Ed Sheeran's Multiply, not a bad choice. In the Lonely Hour, Sam Smith again, and then Miley Cyrus, Bangers. In a list that actually isn't all that bad, because, I mean, Ghost Stories was not an outstanding album in the strictest sense, but it also was not a bad album at all. Ed Sheeran and Sam Smith, which, I mean, again, I haven't listened to the entirety of those albums, but I've heard songs on it, and that's good. We have freaking Miley Cyrus. We gave Miley Cyrus a Grammy nomination. We live in a fallen world.
Yes.
We live in a really screwed up world. Jesus, please come back quickly.
Please.
Number 12. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into stuff that we both really know. Best Rock Performance. Give Me Something Good by Ryan Adams. Do I Want to Know by Arctic Monkeys. That was a good track. Blue Moon by Beck. Fever by the Black Keys. And then Lazaretto by Jack White.
Which I'm not really a Jack White fan.
No, but I will say that what he did for the vinyl for that album was outstanding. Like, revolutionary for vinyl as far as vinyl goes. You could, like, okay, there were some songs that had, like, depending on where you put the needle, would begin the song with one opening, but if you put it in another spot, it would begin the song with a different opening. And there was just a bunch of other crazy things like they did to the vinyl physically that when you played it back, changed the way it played back, and it was so cool. But no, I mean, it's not a terrible list. The best metal performance. I'm surprised to see Anthrax on here. I didn't even know Anthrax had a song come out during this cycle. Yeah, same here.
I was like, Anthrax is still doing stuff?
I know. I was like, Anthrax is still around? Like, what the crap? Anthrax is nominated for Neon Night. Mastodon, nominated for High Road, which I talked about in the review of it. Motorhead's Heartbreaker. Slipknot's The Negative One, which you covered that several weeks ago. And then Tenacious D's The Last in Line.
Which that's a Ronnie James Dio cover, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Actually, and so is Neon Nights. That's also an Anthrax cover, because Neon Nights is a Black Sabbath song. It was the opening track to Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. And that's a good song. But I was like, Anthrax? Like, what is Anthrax doing on here? So, easily, my pick here is Mastodon. Like, easily. Like, I listened to the Motorhead album, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't all that outstanding either. Lemmy sounds so old, and he sounds like a grandpa trying to be cool with a bunch of really deep guitars, and yeah, it was just bad. It was just really weird. Category 14, Best Rock Song. We have Ain't It Fun by Haley Williams and Taylor York, Paramore, basically. Blue Moon by Beck Hansen of Beck. Fever by Auerbach, Burton, and Carney of the Black Keys. Give Me Something Good by Ryan Adams. And then Lazaretto by Jack White.
Which, again, you have two different categories that are basically the same people.
Yeah, it's basically identical. I mean, and what I don't understand is Ain't It Fun? Okay, that album that had Ain't It Fun on there, Paramore's album, that album didn't come out until like April 2013. So how it's included in this release cycle, I don't know, unless it was released as a separate single later on. Even then, I'm just like, this song, like, this song first appeared, and I know that's not how they determine this, but I was like, this song was a song for an album in the 2013 Grammy cycle. What's it doing here?
Which at the same time, I remember when All Around Me by Flyleaf was getting really popular, and people were like, oh, have you heard this new song by Flyleaf? Oh, what is it? All Around Me. Yeah, I heard that song 2 years ago.
Or like Skillet, whenever Skillet, because Skillet manages to like pump singles out of all of their albums, and they're like, oh, we've got the new Skillet single. It's Rise from their 2013 album. And it's just like, I don't know if the word new is appropriate, sir. I don't think the word new fits here. Best rock album. There's a real obvious pick for me in here. Ryan Adams' self-titled album, Beck's Morning Phase. Turn Blue by the Black Keys, Hypnotic Eye by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I didn't know they had an album come out either.
Yeah, same here. I'm like, what the heck?
What the crap? And then...
That's what we get for going on hiatus for nearly 10 months.
Yeah. And then, of course, because it had to be here, Songs of Innocence by U2.
Yep.
Why that album is not in the Album of the Year category, I have no idea. I don't understand why that album is not Album of the Year category.
Maybe they're worried that people would get too angry if it was Album of the Year.
What are they going to do about it? Like, what if people get angry about it? Like, people got angry when Adele won 6 Grammys in one night because they didn't think she deserved it. I mean, what are they going to care about it?
They could riot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because that would be terrible. Category 16, Best Alternative Music Album. This Is All Yours by Alt J. Reflector by Arcade Fire. Haven't heard the entirety of Reflector, but we played several of the songs from Reflector on FM90, and Afterlife got stuck in my head for like a whole semester solid. Melophobia by Cage the Elephant. St. Vincent's self-titled album, which we played again a lot of St. Vincent on FM90, and I love St. Vincent. She is so good. And then, of course, Lazaretto by Jack White. This is the only list on of this year's nominations that I actually think is a solid list. This is the only list, and again, I haven't listened to the entirety of any of the albums here on this list, but what I've heard of some of these albums, this is not a bad list at all. This is actually a really, really solid list. Let's see. I made notes in here about what we talk about. Okay, next one, 22. Let's find category 22, only because one of our favorite guys is on here. I'll let you read these off. I've read a couple off here.
We have 3005 by Childish Gambino.
This is for best rap performance. Category 22, best rap performance.
0 to 100, The Catch Up by Drake. Yeah. Rap God by Eminem. Is it I or One?
That's an I.
I by Kendrick Lamar, and All I Need Is You by Lecrae.
Yeah, I mean, so here is Lecrae being nominated in a non-Christian category for best rap performance for a song that is about his wife.
Woo woo!
You clipped really hard there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
But still, I'm excited about it because that definitely was a really good song, and surprisingly, the most criticism I heard was from the Christian market. Oh, Lecrae's a Christian artist, and he's writing about a song about his wife. That means he's worshiping his wife.
Oh my gosh, I've heard so much crap about this album. I've heard more Christians give crap about Lecrae's album than I did any of my non-Christian friends who think that Christian rap is dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid. Like, and here he is. He didn't get to be another Grammy-nominated artist in a secular category because he stuck around in the Christian market and only catered to the Christian market.
I think it's in a world where I think you definitely showed how bad, romance can be with One Direction's album. In a world that has such an idolatrous and sometimes very, very horrible view of romance, you have this one song that is All I Need Is You by Lecrae that has a very godly view of how a man should love his wife.
Yes, I mean, in a world where romance, which is a blessing from God that he has created for us, has become a source of pain and wickedness and evil in our lives, we have Lecrae operating in the secular market, writing a song that extols the blessings of a godly marriage from the Christian worldview, and he's being nominated among Drake and Eminem and Kendrick Lamar. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
This is great. Yeah, I mean, and that's really the last positive thing I have to say about the selection of Grammys up until category 37, where we're going to look at what the Christian market gets nominated for. And aren't you excited?
Yeah.
No, not really. Okay, so Best Contemporary Christian Music, say that 5 times fast, performance/song. Write Your Story by Francesca Battistelli. Come As You Are by Crowder. Okay, that's fine. Messengers by Lecrae. Of all the songs on that album, they picked Messengers?
Yeah. That was kind of weird. I mean, it is still a good song,
Yeah,
but I'm like...
Oh, no, it's not a bad song, but I'm just like, what?
Yeah, like, there are a lot of other songs out there on that album that I would have been like, yeah, for.
Mercy Me's Shake, which, that song has been radioed to death. And then Need to Breathe Multiplied, which, okay, Need to Breathe, fine. We'll call that good. 39. 39. Best Contemporary Christian Music Album. There's only one on this list that's even remotely deserving of a Grammy for this. If We're Honest by Francesca Battistelli. Run Wild, Live Free, Love Strong by For King and Country, which, in case you haven't listened to the show for long, we covered that album early on and gave it a real favorous review. It was an outstanding release. Natalie Grant's Hurricane, Mercy Me's Welcome to the New, and then Royal Taylor's self-titled album. That's it.
Why is Anomaly not on there?
That's an outstanding question. Why is Anomaly not on here? Because the contemporary Christian music category, according to this to the Grammy PDF, blah 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 blah, contemporary Christian music including pop, rap, hip hop, or rock recordings. There's not a single rock recording on here.
Yeah.
There's not a single hip hop recording. Well, okay, I don't know about Royal Taylor. I don't know them well enough to say, but the rest of these are all pop.
Or what about, didn't Shai Linne have an album that came out this year?
Shai Linne had like 2 albums come out this year for Lyrical Theology. I mean, but those didn't get marketed very well. Like those,
okay,
he's a very underground hip hop artist as far as the reformed hip hop scene goes. But this is it.
Yeah, I was definitely saddened by this.
Nothing from Crowder. Like no Neon Steeple from Crowder. Oh gosh, it came out last year and it came out late, and it's blanking me. Dang it, I would forget. I have a real bad habit of forgetting albums in the moments when I need to recall them the most. But yeah, I think that's all we're gonna like cover as far as like the official list goes. It goes on for quite a bit more. There is a total of 29 categories. Oh,
there's more than 29 categories.
I mean 28 categories. There's 29 fields, but 83 categories. So there's 83 categories with the 29 fields. Okay, here we go. Best music video. I totally forgot about this one.
Which category is that?
That is at the very bottom. That is category 82. We Exist by Arcade Fire. Turned Down for What by DJ Snake and Little John. Chandelier, again. Happy by Pharrell Williams. What a surprise. And then The Golden Age by Woodkid featuring Max Richter. So, okay. I mean, at least Wrecking Ball's not on here.
Yeah.
Or
Thank God.
Or Shake It Off isn't on here. And then Best Music Film, the last category here. Beyonce and Jay-Z on the Run Tour. Coldplay's Ghost Stories. 20 Feet from Stardom, which I do not recognize this. I don't know what that is anyway. Metallica's Through the Never. Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
No. No.
I just had to do a Metallica reference.
No.
Metallica, yeah.
Yeah. The Truth About Love Tour live from Melbourne by Pink, which I haven't seen any of these, so I'm not going to comment about them, but I will say that they had Metallica's Through the Never on vinyl at Hastings, and it was like $50, and I'm just like,
Wait, how do you have a movie on vinyl?
It includes, well, it's a soundtrack for the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's a soundtrack for the movie, and it includes the Blu-ray, and it's for $50, and I'm just like, no. So, in case you can't tell from our responses to some of these categories, we're not impressed with the Grammys this year at all.
Which I don't think either of us ever really have been.
They've had better years than this. I mean, I think the 2012 year, and my years are blurring, so it's probably wrong, but would that be? Yeah, the 2012 Grammys. No, the 2013 Grammys was a solid year for the Grammys. They've had better years, and this is not one of them at all. As far as nominations go, I don't think there's anything here that is outside of the ordinary as far as the Grammy goes. It feels very run-of-the-mill, very predictable as far as the nomination goes, and the nominations themselves are somewhat stale.
Yeah, how many nominations did Iggy Azalea get? I mean, my gosh.
She got a lot, which disturbs me. But then again, she's also done really well on the charts, and she's also done really well in the market. So,
which saddens me greatly.
Yeah, but that's pop music for you. So what do you expect?
Well, pop/horrible rap.
Yeah. There we go. Pop/horrible rap. That should be a genre.
Yeah.
But anyway, even though like it's so tempting for us to just be like, oh my gosh, the Grammys are like stupid and nominate crap music and blah 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 blah. And I know I do that, but we can't ignore the Grammys and what they do for the culture. It is one of the most watched nights on television for the whole year. They bring in a viewership number that is one of the highest numbers for the whole year every year, and people take it seriously. And so the fact that just because a couple of like music snobs or super music nuts are like, oh, the Grammys suck, these selections suck, like we can't ignore the fact that people take this stuff seriously and are going to eat this up, sadly enough. And so if we're gonna cover the Grammys, I don't know how we're gonna do it. We might. I'll do the live Twitter thing again, like I did last year and the year before, and we'll find a way to cover it.
Yeah, and what day is this actually supposed to air?
You would ask me that, and I wouldn't tell you because I don't know, because I have no idea. But yeah, we've talked about this before, I think, in a couple of episodes, and I know that I have written on this. I wrote on this back in 2013 about why Christians ought to take the Grammy significantly. So in a sense, I'm beating on a drum that I've beat on before, where in order to be effective ambassadors in the world, we need to know the world that we're being ambassadors in. And the Grammys, because we're music nuts, and that's an avenue through which we reflect Christ, we have to know the backdrop that we are shining into. I think it was William Lane Craig, famous apologist and philosopher, who said that the gospel is always heard against the cultural backdrop that it's being preached to. And when it comes to the Grammys, like the musical backdrop, when you have Beyonce and a bunch of other people being nominated for Grammys, we have to know that backdrop. Like, we can't be ignorant about these things. Even if we don't like them, we at least need to know what's going on, so that way we don't get off on the wrong footing when it comes to how we go about talking about music.
But don't we have our own award show, and therefore can't we just write off the other award shows?
Well, I would love to be able to write off other award shows, but here's the thing, is that, yes, we are going to be having the fifth? Crap. I really am forgetting.
I don't know. I don't mean our own personal award show. I mean us as Christians have an award show.
Oh, you're talking about the Dove Awards.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Dove Awards.
We did a whole episode on this. Like, on the Dove Awards and why the Dove Awards.
I mean, the Dove Awards has good, wholesome, pure music. And
you're fired. You're fired. Just get off the show. You're fired.
All right, Vince McMahon.
The Dove Awards are their whole other thing. And the Dove Awards are, I hold the Grammys to a much higher esteem than I do the Dove Awards. I will say that much. Because here's the other thing to remember about the Grammys, is that the stuff that we see, like the stuff they televise, is only like a third of the stuff that they actually cover.
One of the categories is like Best Latin Jazz Album, and you never see that.
Yeah, no, I mean, they cover an incredible range of stuff. It's just the stuff that everybody sees is like a third of the entirety of what they do. Like, okay, here's an example. The Intern is technically a Grammy Award-winning member of a band.
Which I can't believe. I just shake my head because that band was horrible that year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I mean, my younger brother, his band in high school one particular year received a Grammy, like a legitimate Grammy, for one of their performances at a contest. So, I mean, or I think it was a bunch of other things too, but they won a Grammy. But, I mean, it's stuff like that you don't hear about. It's always the fact that Nicki Minaj basically summoned Satan, or
or Miley Cyrus got naked,
or Macklemore and Ryan Lewis had a mass same-sex marriage ceremony during the Grammys. I mean, it's stuff like that you hear about, and you hear happening at the Grammys, and you just write off the whole entire thing as a result of it. But the thing is, like, legitimately, the Grammys do cover things, and they do have their hands in things where when the spotlight's not shining on them, they actually do a good job. They actually do cover things more objectively, and money and sales aren't part of the picture. But they also do it in a way that even if people don't know about it, it's still solid. So, like, that's why it's fascinating every year, like, to hear people write off the Grammys. What they're writing off is the stuff that everybody knows about. And I write that off with them. Like, I don't really care for the award ceremonies and the pomp and the worldly celebrity of it all. Like, that's just not appealing to me. But that's also, I mean, it's easy to write that part off, but we need to make sure that we're also not writing off the good things that the Grammy Association does when the spotlight's not shining, and that's where most of their stuff is actually done, is behind the scenes or away from public view. So if you want to join us in bashing the Grammys when they're televised, you come on over. I mean, just seriously, like join us on Twitter. Join us on Facebook. I mean, whenever we're watching it and we're tweeting it, you'll have your chance to speak your mind. But we have to take care to make sure that what we're like criticizing about the Grammys is actually worth being criticized about, because we don't want to criticize the entirety of the Grammys when they do something good, and they do a lot of good, for the really public stuff that just sucks, like Nicki Minaj summoning Satan. I mean, but she did get reprimanded for that, I believe. So I think that's all we'll have to say on this, and I don't really want to talk about the Grammys until the actual Grammys.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I'm just really disappointed by this list. I was hoping for a lot better, and it definitely disappointed me. But oh well, such is life. Brett, let's go ahead and start closing down shop for the day. You got a reco for us?
I definitely do. Thanks to a Black Friday Steam sale, I acquired a few video games, and one of them is called Papers, Please. Basically,
It's a lot of fun.
yes, it is a lot of fun. Basically, what you are is you are a checkpoint personnel who is in this fictional country of Arstotzka, which is basically
It's like a dystopian Russia.
yeah, basically, and it's like post-war. You're finally opening the checkpoint, and depending on instructions you have, you let people in or deny them, and it's basically a hardcore matching game.
It as cheesy as a description as it sounds, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Because like you have to say like this has to be a valid passport. Like you look at the current date, look at the date of the passport. Does it match up okay? Yeah. Look at the pictures. Do they match up okay? Yeah. Look at the names. Look at the gender. All of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty complicated game. I mean, I've played it too, and it's a pretty challenging
And then,
game.
depending on what you do, I mean, you can get docked money. If you don't let enough people in, you might not have enough money to save your sick and dying son.
It's a challenging game. Like, it's not an easy game at all. It's definitely a lot of fun though. My reco this week. There's a couple of different things I could reco. I know I recoed Serial last week, and I'm tempted to just do a double reco just because Serial is like so good.
Evangelion?
I would disreco Evangelion
Really?
for reasons that I can't explain on the air because you haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Then why are you having me watch it?
Because that's actually a really good question. Watching it because you are mature enough to handle what's in it. And you're able to process it from the Christian worldview and see why, as far as anime goes, Evangelion is a very significant anime that Christians ministering in Japan ought to know about, because it's more or less Dan Brown's... It's like Japan's equivalent of Dan Brown's work on steroids.
Huh.
And so it... The amount of Christian symbolism and Christian theological elements that are incorporated and abused in the show is pretty significant. So I would disreco Evangelion if you don't have the framework to process it. And even then, I would strongly admonish to tread lightly. My reco this week is not Evangelion. My reco, I'm going to reco Deschutes. I don't know if I've recoed Deschutes, the brewery, on this show, but yeah, Deschutes has been definitely one of my favorite breweries. They're Black Butte porters that I've been drinking this show, and it's a real solid porter. It was the second or third beer I've ever had, and it was it's definitely been one of my favorites. It's got a super high rating on it, and their porters and their stouts and their IPAs are solid. They have what is considered to be the quintessential pale ale, the Mirror Pond Pale Ale, and
Which is delicious.
which is awesome. And it's a real solid beer, and so yeah, I definitely recommend Deschutes. They really do have some good stuff. I'm looking forward to having their Jubilale Holiday Ale tonight.
As am I.
Yeah, having that tonight. We went to World Market earlier today and picked up some of that, and so I'm looking forward to trying it. But yeah, I guess that's it as far as recos go. And of course, we always want to take time in each episode to mention why we do this, and that the gospel is the foundation for why we do this. And when it comes to the Grammys, we talk about the Grammys and we can talk about the Grammys in of themselves as their own thing and not mention the connection that the gospel has to it. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't link the two together, because we are sharing the gospel in a world, or in a country, where the Grammys are being watched by a considerable number of people, and the Christian worldview is not a friendly worldview to the Grammys, and the Grammys do not reflect or do not look kindly upon the Christian worldview. And so for us sharing the gospel and sharing the plan of reconciliation to God in a world, we have to know the world that we're operating in, and we cannot be ignorant of the things that are going on around us if we are wanting to share the gospel well. We need to know what is going on, so that way we can show how the gospel touches on every aspect of our lives and how the gospel relates to every part of our lives, including how we go about watching music shows and how we go about honoring good music, which is kind of what we're trying to do here, only we don't do it perfectly all the time. We do try to point in the direction of good art, because the gospel compels us to point in the direction of good art, and the gospel compels us to go in a direction of choosing art that is different from the world and is rooted on God, rooted on his character, rooted on his beauty and his glory and his majesty, and how art can reflect that and exemplify that. And yeah, it's really, at the end of the day, the Grammys and knowing about what's going on with the Grammys can be boiled down to a gospel issue. And so that's why we talk about it, is because the gospel is our message. The gospel is the foundation for what we do, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention and talk about such a significant moment where the gospel is going to collide. That's why we say where music and the Christian worldview collide, is because the gospel touches on these things, and we sometimes imperfectly try to explore how that happens. So, yeah.
Yep.
Don't watch Evangelion unless you are, yeah, I'm not going to say anything more on that. Gosh, I'm tired.
Yeah, as am I.
I want to take a nap, but it's 3:15 in the afternoon, dang it. Well, this is sad. I feel like we're forgetting to mention something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're forgetting to mention something.
Yeah, me too, but I don't know what it is.
We're just both, not remembering today.
Yeah, it's been a rough week.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's that time.
And tomorrow's a Monday.
Monday. If you want to contact us, you can get a hold of us on Facebook at searching Another Ascending Lark. You can find us on Twitter at AALblog. You can send us an email at anotherascendinglark@gmail.com. You can, of course, visit the website anotherascendinglark.com, where we have the links and articles that we mentioned in this show. We'll have the complete list of the Grammys for you to look at and mock and judge and deride and pull your hair out and rend your clothes and put sackcloth and ashes and anything else you might want to do based on this year's selections. If, like I said earlier, if there's an album that you want us to cover, get it to us or tell us about it so we can get a hold of it and cover it and make the world a better place. I guess. Or worse. Don't tell us to cover Taylor Swift. We're not going to do it. Just don't even bother. No.
Miley Cyrus.
No, and don't tell us to cover Miley Cyrus either. We're definitely not doing that. It's not happening. So if you're going to recommend us to something, you better tell us why you're recommending it to us. Hopefully it'll be something worth recommending. You guys have a great week. We will see you next week. And again, we want to thank you for helping break this milestone that we just now broken. We really appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful week.